We're good.
Okay. The time is 6:36. We'll now call our meeting to order. Roll call, starting, actually, that's me. Never mind. Patrick Knight, Ben Peters, William Lovis, myself, Michael Carey, Mike Roth, and is Kim online?
Yeah.
And then we're not having the city attorney tonight, right? Is that what you
That's
said? Okay, so he's not joining us. So that was everyone at the moment. We'll now move on to open forum. Does anyone have any questions about bills, any of the line items? This includes the tobacco license renewals. I see we have just 5 sellers. Is that one less or 2? Is that our normal?
I believe that's the same as
It is?
last year.
Okay. Couldn't, if we had maybe one more. Okay, so would anyone like to make a motion for the, well, I scooped right ahead. I'm sorry, John. Let me back this up, if we will. We did our roll call open forum. There's nobody here, I presume, for open forum, but there is John here for our City Hall and liquor store update, so let's do that.
Yay.
So you can get home.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is John Hagenmiller with McGough Construction. I'm the site superintendent for the new municipal liquor store in City Hall. I just want to give you a quick update on what's going on. The windows for the office area were delivered last Friday to our supplier. All the glass, or the frames were delivered. All the glass will be delivered to them on Friday, this Friday. And they'll begin installing on Monday of next week. At this time, we're taping of the drywall is about 95% complete. Framing is about 98% complete. Tile work in the bathrooms is about 85% complete. Painting is about 65% complete. And actually, we are polishing the floors in the liquor store and the bathrooms this week also. And ceiling grade is going to start in the City Hall area starting next Monday. We are waiting on some wood beams. We should have a delivery date for those tomorrow or Friday. The 4 doors at the liquor store, those are the ones that were going to be held back till first part of January. They're actually going to be shipped before the end of the year, and we should get them within 5 to 7 days.
That's
So
big, isn't it?
That's real big. So that'd be all the glass.
Wow.
So, and we're waiting on approval for some anchoring system for the employee entrance canopy. That is expected hopefully tomorrow. And as soon as we get that, we can get the parts, the structural parts that we need, install them, and then complete the siding on the building. It's mostly on the west side that we have to finish up. That's about it. If anyone has any questions or if anyone wants to stop by, please do. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay warm.
Yeah, you guys. Whoa. This must have been quite a day. Does it, I mean, do you feel a lot of air moving through, or is it not too bad when
It's
you're?
actually not bad.
Yeah.
Just before you came in, I said the ambient temperature inside the building is about 72 degrees, and our heaters are at the lowest setting that they can go, so.
Got my house by 8 degrees.
It's the lowest we could go, so.
Oh, nice. That's not too
It
bad.
means that the building was really airtight, even with our plastic windows.
I guess the beach party's down there then.
I guess so.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, so now we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the tobacco licenses. And once again, does anyone have any comments about the agenda or the minutes or anything from Bill's?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
because we don't have Craig here yet, so. Good with that. And now we can move on to the budget and levy. It's our public hearing, Mike?
This is our public hearing, which no one is here to comment on. I'll take that as a good sign that you're doing the right things, that people don't have any major concerns about. It's also, I'll note, typically terrible, terrible weather on the day that we do this. I don't know how that happens. We schedule this meeting months in advance, so it's amazing. It's not been cold and windy the last few times, and I think last year actually it was kind of nice, but typically we get a lot of snow on this day, which is fun, so.
Yeah.
We didn't receive any comments at City Hall, any questions of any variety, so I will just recap what's occurred since your last meeting when we went through this budget a little bit. Only some minor changes. So we'll start with the end, the spreadsheet at the bottom, the draft budget summary. This is all the details. There's just a few minor changes that are in here.
Are we looking at that, the vertical, this one? Or the?
I think it's this one, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay,
at the very-
yep, okay.
And I'll go into detail about what those changes were. There was only two that we made since your last meeting. One, we upped the amount of revenue that we're counting on getting from the liquor store contributed to the general fund. And I'll talk a little bit about more of that in a second. And then the other change was we updated the library expense budget to account for the reduced health insurance and property insurance costs. So those changes were made. What effect did that have? Now we'll go to the middle spreadsheet, which is entitled Draft Budget Changes Summary, September to Current 2025. And the part on the expense table on the top that's new is the library. It used to say no change. It was still in there at $513,410 as of 2 weeks ago. So today, there's a $9,607 reduction in that amount. Half of that reduction counts towards property taxes for the city levy. Half of that reduction will be passed on to the county for their contribution. And then the other change is in the revenue in the clerk administration department, we added $16,000 of additional revenue for the liquor store. There was $50,000 in there in the earlier draft. So now there's $66,000 of revenue from the liquor store, which is approximately the difference between the amount that the liquor store is going to pay on the new debt payment, about $134,000, and the $200,000 that we've historically contributed from the liquor fund to the general fund. So in 2024, this year, we did not count on any contribution from the liquor fund to the general fund. We just took that out. And in 2025, we've backed in $66,000 of it. I think that is a fair way to start, but as we know, it's a new store. And I expect that we'll be able to contribute significantly more than the $200,000, but not day one. Day one, we've got a lot of startup costs to deal with. But I just think because of the volume we're going to be able to do in the new space this year, that it still seems very safe to imagine that we're going to be able to match that $200,000 contribution that we've done in the past. So between those two numbers, the $4,800 in library reduction and the $16,000 in additional revenue, that's how we got from, we'll go to the top now, about 4.9 to 2.97%. So that's the levy increase that I'm recommending is 2.97%. You can see that it's a significant reduction in what we consider general revenue levy and a significant increase in total debt levy, which makes sense, I hope, because you see that there's a brand new $228,000 debt levy for the City Hall liquor store project. That levy is in addition to the $134,000 that the liquor store is contributing to make the debt payment on the $6 million bond that we've got. It's not that drastic a reduction, though. You can see in 2024, the general revenue levy was $782,000, and it's $611,000 now. We didn't actually cut $170,000 in expenses. That's not how we did it. We've been building up the general revenue side, anticipating a very large debt payment coming up. And so it was collecting a little bit more than we needed last year. Well, really for the past 5 or 6 years. And so we just transferred that expense item from the general revenue side to the debt side, which is why the levy really only has to change about 3% rather than, well, if you look at the whole debt payment of, about $400,000, that would be closer to 40% increase. So this is the effect of many, many years of planning for this project and getting ready for it and saving up for it. And here we are, year one of our big debt payment, and we're going to be able to do it with a modest levy increase. Does anybody have any questions about any of the numbers?
Looks very good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So at your next meeting, there'll be a resolution for you to consider that'll include these numbers, authorizing the levy for next year.
Great.
Got it.
Okay. Is there any sort of opening and closing to the hearing we need to do, or no? Okay.
I think it's probably more important to be formal if we had a lot of guests, but since we don't, not really.
All right. Well, thank you for you and Kim very much for all this work, putting this all together, tracking this all, making the decisions about where to move and how to make this move forward. So I appreciate it. Appreciate both of your work on this. We will move on to council and staff reports. We'll start over here.
Nothing.
Couldn't have been a holiday week, could it?
Could be.
Ben?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'll have to make up for everyone else.
We knew you would.
Yes! We were awarded grant money from the Great Lakes Cities Initiative in St. Lawrence Seaway, which I believe I mentioned in the last meeting. It'll be
Yes.
about $120,000 for design work. But the more important thing is that Mike and I and Dave Tierstig met with their CEO? I don't remember Bridget's title. But we needed clarification about what this really meant, because they were talking about Artist's Point, and they're like, wait a minute. But it was really a good conversation, because when she further understood our bigger issues with the Coast Guard station, the parking lot, and all the other work, and we have a lot of question about what's going on underneath the ground with the parking lot, the sinkholes, the whole deal, and then eventually the Coast Guard. I think if this is a 2-year grant and there's multiple cities involved, we don't have to be right out of the gate on this.
Okay.
But there's possibility that she can help us find more money and broaden this as things happen. And if nothing else, if we just get Stantec's, as always, super excited to help us up here. And even if they help us better understand what might it take, it's a step forward for us. We have more information, more knowledge than we did before. So it's a great start, I think. Taking on to that, though, I had promised you all I would send a note to the Coast Guard station.
That's right.
Which
yeah.
I did, and I got a better Christmas present back than I imagined out of that. So,
Yeah.
that one made me super happy. Thank you for following up. The property has been finally approved for divestiture. I'm currently working with our legal office and environmental office on next steps. We'll need to do an environmental assessment of the property before it transpires. And also he's asking us to help him with some of the legal work as far as the reversions and things of that nature. So we I copied in our city attorney on that. So there's actually some action steps.
Wow.
He said the environmental assessment can take up to a year plus, but he realizes we're seasonal, and they use an outside company. I mean, we can send out this email. So he's hoping to get it on for this spring or summer. So that was actually something concrete we could
Yeah.
work on. That said, and I was not in on this meeting, but you guys met on Monday with our East Bay piece. And and I'm going to let you fill them in, Mike, on that. But getting back to that grant and this, seeing opportunity that maybe some of this bigger stuff can maybe inch along better. I have reached out, Tom Hall from the U.S. Forest Service directed me to Kyle Stover here locally. We're going to meet on the 19th. I'm just going to give them an overview where we're at. But at some point, they are obviously stakeholders to all of this with Artist Point. So we just want to get them in the loop. And if any of these projects get bigger, whatever. I know they've had a lot of environmental issues down there with Artist Point. It's like, I think, one of the nation's most trafficked park. Do you call it a park? I don't know. Anyways, so we want to bring them in. We've got other stakeholders to engage, but get them on the up and up on this too, to do that. So that was my big news. And why don't you fill in on Monday, because I think this all relates, and then there's our grant, our newest grant opportunity.
So on Monday, the small group of representative of Soil and Water, Shane and myself, had a brief conversation with our newer partner in the East Bay project, the Grand Portage Band, and they're very excited to be a part of it, which is great for us. It allows for a realistic funding plan, which is nice, but it also gives us another local partner to help evaluate the ideas that the Corps comes up with. I think it's going to be really important for us locally to weigh in on whether those are going to work for us or not. And so it's great to have Grand Portage to help with that process.
Because
Krishna Warheidi
and Margaret Watkins have expertise. To have them at the table is really nice.
Yeah, it's really,
Conversation.
it's terrific.
Yeah, and they have issues up there too, so they want to be sitting there with the Army Corps of Engineers as well and make contacts and their stuff, so.
I want to go back to the harbor side, the project that you first started announcing with that funding. When we last talked about that, we were discussing whether or not that would be a good piece to include in our own Coast Guard Point, Artist Point master planning process. It might be a catalyst for that. It might actually be a way to fund some of it or to leverage other funds to help do it. And so that's kind of what we're imagining right now. Our next step on that will be to talk to the engineer that's hired to do that project and see what they think about that and maybe develop that idea a little bit more. And I think once we have a little more development on that, it's going to be something we'll bring to a council meeting as an agenda item, just as a report to kind of go over it thoroughly and talk about what's all included in it and what we hope to get out of it.
Yeah, I think this all is starting to maybe blend together a little bit more, and more people get to the table. The other piece is this new grant that's coming out of all things, the Minneapolis Foundation, that I was emailed on the other week. It's the Great Lakes Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Grant-Making Program. But the really cool thing is it involves all the Great Lakes. It's designed for smaller communities under 10,000 along the lake, including the tribal communities, but it's wastewater, it's healthy homes, it's food. I sent it out to all of our partners, emergency preparedness, so Mike Keyport, are you aware of this? Elena Hansel, Sarah Waddle, because she does a lot with food. Just everyone, here's an opportunity for just about anything that way, but I think we need to spend some time seeing if it can help us with these projects, if it can help us with our wastewater, and that's I just started reading about it last week. It's several years, and you can be in different points. Like maybe, we have to have community engagement for this bigger project around the Coast Guard. Well, that's part of one of the things you can be applying for. You can be applying apparently for the projects in motion already. So we just need to spend some time reading about what this means. But I'm sure it'll be super competitive, but it's, I think, really geared to stuff that could positively affect what we're trying to do. So those were my updates, and I met with the kids from the school, and we'll
That's
see. We had a fun afternoon together. We'll see if they get done by Friday.
Then we will judge.
Yeah, well, the league will, yes. So is that it? Has everybody got everything?
I've got one more.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
Jerry?
Wanted to give you an update about our board openings. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As you know, we've been advertising for openings on the Park Board, on Planning Commission, on the Library Board, on the PUC, and on the EDA. Almost all of those positions have incumbents that are in the spot that are able to continue serving and have expressed a willingness to continue serving,
Oh, great.
which is great news.
Yeah.
The one exception that we know right now is the EDA position, Myron Bersheim. He's eligible for another term, but he has told us he will not be serving another term. And we do not have any applicants right now for that position. So it's a really important one. We need to have quality people to help sort out some of the bigger issues that are going on in the EDA right now. If somebody is passionate about that, please reach out to somebody here and talk to us. The city council needs your help. And if any of you have anybody that you think would be good, ask them.
And there's other switchover on the EDA board this year as well, so I really would hate to have that spot sit empty for any time,
Yeah.
because there's other people leaving the board too.
Wait.
So, and we have a new
But not
EDA.
this year, next year, right?
Well, January 1st,
County seats, though.
yeah.
Not since it's a
Like,
split.
I don't
Okay, okay.
I have a feeling we may have a potential chair, but we still are losing our current chair as one for sure. So, maybe more. Thank you, that was an item we talked about and I still forgot. Started big. All right,
Okay.
and with that, we are complete.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. Go home, stay safe and all of that, just to get home. See you all next week.
That's right. Back again.
Everyone else has left the call.